everyone, happy Monday. Thank you for joining me here tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 Pacific. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together for about an hour. So you guys, hold on, let me click this off. So you can tell here we are back. We are back here on the phone again. So thank you guys for joining me again. So we're still working through our new video stuff. So for the time being, I'm going to stick to the phone. I think we got that working again at least. That was a whole extra ordeal. But all right, so we are working on the houseplants embroidery tonight. We are getting started. It's the week 3 of the month, the first full week. It's the third full week of the month, which means it is Embroidery of the Month week. I got my haircut today. Yes, Debbie. Thank you. Haircut day. This is probably the last time you'll see it down like this. I think I can still get it in a little mini pony. All right, you guys. So anyway, we are going to be stitching the house plants. I have my PDF printable pattern up on my iPad. I have my thread from the kit and some fabric and a hoop, and I am ready to get started. So hopefully you guys have your pattern downloaded. If you don't, the link is here below. You can still do it right now if you wanted. Grab some fabric and trace the design and everything, so you can still work with us. So I'm going to stitch this week, and we'll see how far we get. If we get done, I think it might be kind of fun. We could do some sort of like decorative hoop finish, like maybe we wrap the hoop or something just to make it extra cute or something. So we'll have to come up with an idea for that, because I think we'll be able to finish this before the end of the week. We'll see. So, all right, I'm going to flip you guys around, and we will get going. Thank you again for joining me here tonight. Appreciate seeing you guys again. Okay, so here we are. I have the pattern up on my iPad here, so you can see it's the Houseplants Pattern. So if you got the PDF pattern, or if you got the bundle, you should have this pattern in your email. It is right with your receipt. Just click download. I did that, and it opened up in a new window, an email or a web window here, web tab. So you can download it from here in print, or I just leave it up on my iPad here. And what we're looking at, what we want, is this. So here we have the stitch and color guide, along with what stitches go where, what colors we got. So if you're looking at, if you got the bundle and you have this and you're wondering, well, what the heck colors do I make everything? It is in the PDF here. So check your email again. It should be right in the receipt. So just click download now. Don saw my new fun tape dispenser video. So I put that on TikTok and on Instagram stories today. My fun new magic tape dispenser. All right, and if we keep going through the pattern, you'll have instructions on how to transfer the pattern and how I like to weave in my ends when I stitch. And then you'll also have a traceable pattern. If you print this at actual size or 100%, you will get the size that we will be stitching tonight. And there's also a reversed pattern in case you do some sort of iron-on transfer type deal. Then you actually have it in reverse if you need it. And then again, there's like a 1 inch and 3 centimeter squares on here, so you can test your printer. If you print at 100%, this should be 1 inch and this should be 3 centimeters. Okay. So back to what I need tonight is this color guide, and right underneath it shows how to do the stitches, but we will be going through each one of these as we go here. So, all right, there we are. now I'm gonna get down, so I will keep referring to that this evening, but let's get right here. Oh, Gretchen says, I don't know how you do this to make each one more adorable. That's super sweet. Thank you, I appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna start off just by pressing my fabric here. If you got your bundle, your fabric was probably folded, so you'll want to just give it a little press here. I got my iron heated up. I'm just gonna shimmy across there. You don't need to do this, but you know, I'd rather not stitch with a big old fold in the middle. So okay. All right, so in the bundle, and you guys can make, if you bought the PDF pattern, you can either trace the design onto your fabric. I'm not going to show you guys how to do that tonight. Maybe next time I'll show you, but if you watch any of my other beginning embroidery, when we started embroidery, I'll show you how to trace. But I'm using stick and stitch washable fabric stabilizer, embroidery stabilizer. So if you got the bundle, these come with it, and what it is you can run this right through your printer. So that PDF pattern, that printable pattern, you can print right to here, and it will become basically a sticker that we can stitch right through. So I'm super stoked about that. And actually, you can trim a little bit around the edge, but there's not that much around the edge, so I'm going to keep it like this. So there's a paper backing, and then we have the embroidery stabilizer. It's a product called Stick and Stitch, and it's from Sulky. There we go. And so it's a sticker on this side, and it will come off in water when we're done. Otherwise, if you want to trace, that's totally fine. You can actually just print out the pattern and put your fabric behind and trace it. You might need to put it up against a bright window. You can use either a pencil will totally work fine. Just like that'll make a nice thin line that you can stitch right through. Or you can use an air erasable marker. And my favorite thing to use is a water-soluble ink marker. So again, you would just trace through, and then you can stitch right over the line, and that will come off with water later. We are going to take this off with water later as well. So if you haven't used this product before, I will definitely be going over that once we finish the design here. All right, let's get it into the hoop. Oh, Gretchen says that she traced hers onto a tote bag, and it worked pretty easy. That's good. All right, it's okay. My Fabri-Solv, or my Stick and Stitch sticker here is going a little over the edge. That's totally fine. I kind of like to center my design. This won't be the final position, so if you don't get it totally centered, that's okay. We'll be taking it out of the hoop. I actually kind of like taking it out of the hoop every time I'm done stitching for the night, because then it helps reduce a crease from the hoop. All right, so I am just kind of going around and pulling the fabric taut. Like here, there was a little bump, so I'm going to pull on both sides. If it's loose, I'm going to just tighten a little bit. But yeah, you don't want to like distort the fibers by pulling so hard, but you do want it relatively tight in here. You don't want it super duper loose. All right, and then when you're good to go, then just tighten it up the rest of the way. All right, there we are. So I'm going to just take my embroidery floss out of the little package here. Okay. And we are ready to go. I have my embroidery needle. So I like using a size 5 embroidery needle. The deal with an embroidery needle is that it has a large eye, so you can get the floss through. And it also has a sharp point. So that's a little different than a cross-stitch needle. A cross-stitch needle looks like this, but it actually has a dull or blunted point. And that's because you don't want to pierce cross-stitch fabric. But for embroidery, we do want to pierce the fabric, so we have a sharp point. So make sure it says embroidery needle and not a cross-stitch needle. A cross-stitch needle you might get by, but it might just get a little annoying to poke through. All right, let's see where we should start. So let's look back at the pattern. So I typically like doing whatever is furthest back first. So, and you got to think about it as if it's a real life object. So for example, this guy here, these little aloe plants are in the pot. So this pot, the front of this pot is actually in front of the aloe plants. So I want those stitches to appear as if they're in front as well. So I'm going to stitch everything that's behind first. So I think I'm going to just start with that green. I think that's totally fine. It's that darker green. And so I'm going to stitch these outlines, and then I'll probably jump around to where I see more of that green. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just go from right to left and do it that way. You can kind of just decide however you feel. The nice thing is that there's not any rules. You can do what just feels right. If you want to draw this spiky dude first, go for it. If you want to start with the text, go for it. It's all totally fine. I think I'm gonna, right now I'm leaning, just going from like right to left. So, all right, let's start here. All right, I'm going to cut about 24 inches worth of floss. That's kind of like my nice working amount. It's not too far that you are like making your shoulder go super far by pulling the thread, just like way beyond, and so it won't get all tied up in knots, and it's not too short that you're going to use it up right away either. Okay, so I like stitching with 3 strands of thread. 6-strand embroidery floss comes with 6 strands. They come apart really easily. You can kind of see I'm just tapping on it and it is already coming apart. So why I would stitch with 3 strands instead of 6 is just to control how thick my lines are. So I have this little floss guide. I always kind of refer back to this. This is what all 6 strands look like. This is what 3 strands look like. And then, for example, this is what 1 strand looks like. So you can tell there's quite a difference between the number of strands. So it's really up to you what you want these guys to look like. I'm just going to do kind of just 3 strands across the whole thing, but feel free to mix it up. I mean, look at this floss. Word floss is 6 strands, and this thickness guide is 1 strand. Look at the difference in texture and thickness. I mean, it's just kind of fun. So feel free to play. I am just going to go with the 3 strands over the whole thing. So all right, I'm going to just kind of tap the end there, and I'm going to grab just 1 strand. I need to make these 6 strands into 3 strands. So I'm going to grab just 1 strand. This is how I separate my floss. And I'm going to pull on that 1 strand, and I'm going to hold the rest with my fingers here. And they will all bunch up behind. It'll look crazy, but as soon as I pull that strand out, it all releases, and there's no knots or anything. I just run my hand through it, and we are back to square one here. And you can actually do it really quickly. It's faster than if you're trying to pull 3 strands on either side like that. Only go 1 at a time. It won't work if you do more than 1. So, all right, there's number 2. Run my hand through it. And there's number 3. See, so it goes super fast. And then I have these 3 are ready to go for when I run out of that floss. I'll set that aside. Let's get these floss strands back together. Ooh, they're already lined up already. That's nice. That was kind of magic. Okay, so you just line up the ends, and then I just run my hand through it again. We're just getting all those strands to be together. And that's that. Okay. I'm going to thread the needle I always kind of like having a nice new edge, so I'm gonna clip that. Ooh, I got it a little fuzzy actually. I'm gonna clip it again. There we go, we have a nice edge. Oop. And I'm gonna do the pinch method of threading, so I am pinching that. You can kind of see if I unpinch there's the sliver of thread there. So I'm going to pinch and I'm going to unpinch again. And the moment I see that, I'm going to lay my needle on top and kind of push my needle over that edge. And as I push, it kind of pops out. I'm going to just grab those ends and pull through. That's my favorite way of threading a needle. All right, let's get started, you guys. So this is a straight stitch. So according to my chart on my iPad, these lines are going to be a back stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and start the back stitch. Now I like stitching where I don't have any knots on the back of my embroidery. Then my thread isn't getting caught on all those knots is my main reason for doing that. But I can't weave in the ends and make no knots without any stitches to stitch with, so to weave in those ends. So I'm gonna do something called an away knot. And what this does is it reserves a little piece of thread that I can weave in later once I have some stitches. So this will make sense once we get to the end of this first strand. But for now, I'm gonna tie a knot. And I'm gonna go about 4 inches away. If I start here, I'm going to go about 4 inches away, somewhere that it doesn't cross over what I'm going to stitch. So I'm not going to go 4 inches up here because that would cross over my shape here. So I'm going to go down here where it's not going to cross over, about 4 inches. That's maybe a little much. There we go. And then I'm going to come up where I'm going to start that back stitch. So, and then we're going to just forget about this for now. But here's what it looks like on the back. I'm just making a long strand, and we will save that later. We will weave that end in later. But for now, we're forgetting about it, and we will keep on moving. So, all right. For this little cactus, again, I'm going to do a back stitch for this. And you can see I started actually a stitch length away from my starting point, like the start of the line. And that's because with a back stitch, you're always kind of forward a stitch and then moving backwards. So I went forward a stitch. I started a little ahead, a stitch ahead, and then I'm going to go backwards to my starting point again. Just like that. And that's my first stitch right there. So to make the next stitch, I'm going to go a stitch ahead of that. So see, I'm a stitch length ahead again. And I'm going to go backwards again, but right into that hole where we left off, right there. And that is the second back stitch. And that's all there is to it. Oh, Shauna says, I think it'd be cute to do the cactus with 2 threads for the shape. Ooh, and 3 or 4 on the little pokies. The pokies. I'm going to call them pokies from now on. What would those be called? Thorns? Nah. What are these little cactus, like a barb? Cactus barbs? I like pokies. I'm going with pokies. Pokies. That would be fun. I mean, you really could play around with thickness of line. That would be really, really fun. All right, so as I go along the line, oh, spines, is that what it is? Spines, cactus spines. Oh, that sounds right. Spines. Oh, that's no fun. I like pokies. Cactus pokies. Oh, needles? Is it needles? Cactus needles. Pokies. Oh, y'all are wrong. They're pokies. All right. So as I approach, I'm approaching like a point here. I kind of have to estimate. Should I do 2 kind of bigger stitches or 3 smaller stitches? I'm kind of dividing this space up. So I think I'm going to go with 3. You can just kind of decide. Not all my stitches are perfectly the same size. I don't worry about that too much. Actually, sometimes when I have like a straight way that I'm going, like a long straight way like that, straight line, sometimes my stitches will actually get bigger. And then around curves, they'll get a little smaller. Around curves, I do actually like having smaller stitches because you can get that shape of the curve a little bit more the more stitches you do. But for these straight stitches. So I talked about stitching the thing that's the object that's most furthest back first. You know, I did that with this aloe plant too. So this little, gosh, we need another word now. I'm going to call it an aloe frond. An aloe frond. I don't know what this would be called. Oh gosh, I should have studied up on my cacti anatomy before coming on tonight. I'm calling it a frond and pokies. So the aloe frond, this one is behind the one next to it. So what'll be nice is that when I stitch this line, I'll be able to cover this point that I'm coming out right now, and it will actually physically look like this one is in front of this one. Christine, yes, the design is still available. The bundles sold out yesterday, I think, so there are no more bundles. However, there are the pattern is still available, and it's a download pattern, so you'll get it instantly. It'll be right in your receipt, so you can print it out. But yes, it's for all of February. It's all of February, so and you get one extra day because it's leap year, so the 29th will be the last day that it's available. Oh, Patricia says she likes the sound and visual better with the phone. Yeah, we definitely have the phone figured out a little bit better than our cameras still. I would like to get a close-up like this going on the cameras. All in all, we just need a different computer that works better, I think, which is crazy. And actually, the phone wasn't working for a while, and that's why we switched to the cameras for a little, but this is working again for now, and until we get the cameras working again, we are with the phone here. But yeah, this is working pretty well right now. Fingers crossed. It's been such an issue for the past 2 weeks or so, but it's going to be awesome once we figure it out for real. The trick is that we're doing this live. If I was just doing video, then we'd be good to go. But with the live video, it's trickier. Oh, the visual is heaps better. Okay, good to know, Dee Dee. That's good. All right, we are actually almost out of this first thing of floss already. I think we might be able to finish this aloe frond. Let's see. See if we can make it all the way there. I like these little happy guys. But yeah, I think this guy would be really cute on a tea towel or like a little bag or something too. I'm excited for this one. This one I'm just doing on some normal fabric. I think I might just frame it in the hoop. But you could cut it out when you're done and sew it into something for sure too. Okay, can I eke out a couple more stitches with this? Let's see. I want to try and make it all the way to the bottom here. If I don't, that's totally fine. I'm just playing some floss chicken again here. All right, so let's. Ugh, 2 more stitches. Can I get them? Ooh, yeah, we're gonna make it. Oh, he's looking cute. Look at his little hair. aloe hair. Okay, now I'm going to flip it around. I've kind of reached my end of the floss. I have maybe about 3 inches or so here, maybe just a hair more. I'm going to weave in the end here. So again, I'm not tying a knot. The reason is I don't want like any loops to be caught on the knots. I know if you are used to having like a super messy embroidery and the back of your embroidery and you're just like, why can't I make it any cleaner? Weaving in your ends will be a great start to that, mostly because you won't have it. Like there's nothing to catch on here. Like there's no knots for a loop to catch on, like a loop of thread. You might be stitching over here and it gets caught on that knot, and now all of a sudden you have this giant loop on the back that you didn't know about. So weaving in the ends is the way to go. And I always go 3 times. It's that 3rd time that locks it in. And then I can snip right close to the edge there. And now we are coming back to our little away knot that we started with. I'm going to now cut that off, just trimming away that knot. And now we have another little flap tail of floss here. I'm going to thread that, and we're going to weave in that end as well. So now we don't have a knot at the beginning, like how you would typically just tie a knot and start stitching. Now there's no knot at the beginning either. So nothing's going to catch on that knot because there isn't one. And really it's only the first thread on the design that you have to do that away knot, because now I can just weave into stitches that already exist here. So I have my, this is that other half of the floss. This is that other 3 strands. The first 3 strands were this. So I'm going to thread this. I'm not tying a knot. Again, I'm going to pinch and undo it there. Okay. And here's where we left off. I'm going to actually just weave into where we left off 3 times, grabbing as many threads as I can. So I'm going to just leave a little end in case I just accidentally pull too hard. Pull it out. So here's 2. And you can see with 2, if I pull on this, it's not, maybe it is enough in this case. But typically with 2, I probably would have been able to pull this thread a little bit more. So, but with 3, this is my 3rd pass, that will lock it in. So now this isn't coming out. Even if you wash this a bunch of times, you wouldn't be able to take this out. I do not, nope, Andrea's my cousin. I did not do a knot. I did not do the knot. Correct. You mean the away knot. So I did do the away knot. That's what we just wove in here. But I don't do any knots on the back. But look how clean that is. So I'm ready to start stitching. There is 0 knots, nothing that any thread will catch on. So we're going to have a super duper clean back. I mean, right now the back looks just as nice as the front, really. Okay. Oh, yes, correct, Andrea. So as I start the second thread, I no longer need to do that knot far away and then start stitching. I just wove into stitches that are already there. So that saves some thread. I know some people are just like, why am I wasting all that thread at the beginning? Just that one time. Now I'm just weaving in the end. So I don't need to do the away knots anymore. The only time I would maybe do an away knot is if I wanted to start stitching way over here. Then I would maybe do an away knot here, because otherwise I will have a jump. I'd have to go from here to there to start stitching this, and that's just a really, really big jump. You can get things caught in there. We call it a toe catcher. Catch a toe in there. So I like to not have big leaps like this. You totally can. But I just find it's a little cleaner back if you don't do that, especially if you are going to be using this as like a kitchen towel. If you're stitching this on like a tea towel, you're not going to want a big jump in there because you don't want someone catching their fingers or anything in there. So I try and just stay close. So if for some reason I decided to stop stitching here and I wanted to stitch way over here or somewhere far away from here, I would not weave in the ends here and make that jump. I would do that another away knot. So that's kind of how I determined that. But if I can, I just stitch into where I left off because it does use up a little less thread and it's just a little easier. So nope, you only have to do it that first time or in a new area. So all right, we are ready to with this next thread. So let's just keep going with Mr. Aloe here. His little mohawk hairs. Oh yeah, that's awesome, Gretchen. Yep, I mean, Andrea, you for sure can. If you want to do an away knot every single time, that's totally fine. That will get the job done for sure. You're basically doing the same thing. You're just waiting till later to weave in the ends, where I'm just weaving in at the beginning. Oh, exactly. So Shauna says, even in between plants, if you don't want to see that jump, like this is actually a different color, this one, but if I didn't want to see that jump from here to here, then I could do an away knot again. And I actually might do that. Like this is a different color. I could, even though it's a different color, I could weave into the ends of this one and jump over there. But maybe I don't want to see that little bit right there. So I might do a whole new away knot for this one. That's a good point. Yeah. This is that dark green. Kathy, if you have the bundle, this is the darker one. And actually, you guys, I know I should do a better job at letting you guys know this, but if you got the PDF pattern, or if you got the whole bundle with the floss and everything, you actually do get the PDF pattern with this. So if you got the bundle, like what I'm working on here, go check your email. Right in the receipt of the email, like your order receipt, there'll be a link, like a download now button, and that will open up the digital pattern, and that's what I have over here on my screen. So you'll actually get this whole pattern as well, and we can actually just check. So this dark green is DMC. I have the DMC equivalents right here, so it's DMC 708. If you want to know exactly what color it is. So Christine's asking if you can sign up for March, because this is February's Embroidery of the Month. So it's actually not a subscription. I on purpose did it not a subscription just because I know not everyone likes being, I don't know, trapped into a subscription. It does make things easier, so I might actually offer a subscription option later. If you do want the subscription way of doing it, maybe with like an early release potentially. But it is every single month. So if you're on my email list, I will notify you right away on the first of the month, every new month, that there's a new design. So you can decide to do it one month and not another month, or you can decide to get them every month. And again, we may have a reoccurring subscription soon if you for sure want to not forget. But yeah, just be sure to be on my email. There should be links here for that. Or if you just go to the website, you can sign up there, penguinandfish.com. And yeah, so it's just the first of every month. And I for sure send out emails. And it's actually, at midnight. So if you're sitting there on the 29th at midnight, I will switch it over. I switch it over right in the middle of the night there. Oh, you like it? Shirley says she likes it this way, no subscription. I have a tough time with the idea of being locked into a subscription, so that's kind of why I'm not doing that. But however, I do know that some people do like it, so if you're someone who does like subscriptions, then you don't, forget or anything like that. Let me know, just because I'm curious. I might consider having that as an option in case you don't want, if you just don't want to like forget. And I do run out of the bundles, so like right now there aren't any more bundles left. Gina, I see this post here. Are you referring to one in the crafters group or something? I'll have to check after. All right, so one more stitch. I think I was gonna jump up to here to start here, but now I'm thinking, well, I just ended here. I can just start. This is the closest bit, so I'll just start right here. Oh, so Kathy, you're still unable to sign up. Okay, so that's so weird. So there are a few people that I don't know. It's an email system thing that the emails get bounced back, which means that it thinks my emails are spam, like so spammy that they won't even let them in. So I'm not quite sure how to solve that quite yet. Jolene, I am using 3 strands of floss. So it's 6-strand embroidery floss that I've split into 3 strands, which means I've pulled out 3 of those 6 strands. And it's totally a preference, a personal preference on how thick I want my lines. So a little earlier I showed like my floss thickness guide. I made one of these up at one point here, and so like this is 1 strand, is one of the 6 strands compared to 6 strands. The 3 is kind of right in the middle. I kind of like right in the middle there, and there's like a really big difference. This is 6 strands and this is the 1 strand. So you can get a bunch of different textures and different looks by changing throughout. But I'm keeping a steady 3 strands. It's what I'm used to. I like it. I think it's a nice medium thickness. It's also easy to pull through the fabric. Sometimes if you use too much thread, like if you use all 6, you'll get a nice thick line, but sometimes it's more difficult to pull, because right here you would have 12 strands kind of doubled up. Sometimes that's just too thick to comfortably pull through fabric, especially if you're using like a tighter weave fabric. Oh yeah, so that's true, Nolene. So one of the reasons, so I always have bundles. They sell out though, so if you want a bundle like next month for March, make sure to get it within like the first couple days. If they sell out super fast, sometimes I'm able to get a few more before the end of the month, but not always. And there's always the digital version though. So if you don't want supplies, if you have enough supplies at home, or if you do live overseas where shipping can be super duper expensive, then there's always the digital version. Nope, I did not use any beeswax or conditioner on the floss. Jolene, you can feel free to do that. I just kind of don't use a ton. So like if you would like undo this whole thing and try and stitch with this whole thing, then I mean you'd have so much thread that you're pulling through each time that the thread would wear and it would get all twisted. So in that case, you would want to condition it probably, but I just use smaller amounts of thread, and that seems to do the trick. But go for it. I'm not super familiar with the different kinds of thread conditioners and that sort of thing. All right, so I am coming to this point here, I have one more stitch. So well, I have this stitch, but I have one more stitch to do here. But you can see that this aloe leaf is behind this one, so I should have really stitched this one first, but I was just going right to left. So now, instead of coming up like a normal back stitch like this, it's going to be really hard not to pierce that thread. I'm going to come up right here in my last stitch, and I'm going to try and tuck my last stitch underneath this stitch, because I want this stitch to look like it's still in front, because that aloe frond is still in front. So I'm going to just kind of tuck my needle underneath there. There we go. So now it still looks like that stitch is the furthest ahead. Okay, so that is it for that guy. So I think I'm just going to weave in the ends. I really don't have that much left anyway. So let's finish this thread. I got almost the perfect amount of thread for that. So that 24 inches or so, maybe a hair more than the 24 inches that I cut for this, turned out just perfect. I mean, and that all depends on how big or small your stitches are too. I tend to have maybe a little bit larger stitches. At least I noticed with all the koalas that I'm getting from you guys. A lot of you have like these perfect little tiny stitches, and mine are nowhere near as small or perfect. So there we go. There you can kind of see the stitches. So they're pretty much the same. I kind of try and estimate the size as I go, but they're by no means all exactly the same or anything. And they are, you know, biggish. They're not like the tiniest little stitches. Whatever you'd like to do. So okay, that's that. I think I might just finish these guys. Let's do the little spiky spikes in there. What were we calling those? Oh, I forgot already. What are we calling these now I called these ones spiky spikes. Oh, pricklies. What did we just call these? We had such a good name. Totally forgot already. All right. So I am going to use, I'm looking at the pattern again. This is that medium green. So there's really 3 greens in here. There's a light, dark, and a medium. The medium and the light are pretty close. Like here are the medium. Pokies! There we go. These are the pokies. These guys aren't as pokey. What should we call the aloe ones? But yeah, the pokies. Here's the medium and the light. So I'm going to use the medium. I've rolled them all up like this. The easiest way to separate this is just to grab all the colors all at once and cut your 24 inches. So I typically use 24 for all of it. So I'm just going to cut all of it, weave all this extra. I'm going to put that to the side. And now I've like pre-cut all of this. It's easier than taking them apart separately. So I'm going to grab that medium green out of here. We'll set the rest of this to the side. And let's get those 3 strands again. So sometimes you can just tap the edge and that will start separating them, and you just want to grab that one. There we go. You gotta go one at a time, otherwise it won't work. So there you go. I've kind of separated that one. So let's grab that and pull, and then it releases once the strand comes out. And again, I just run my hand through there. Super easy, and you can go pretty quick with that too. So there's 2. Run my hand through, and here is 3. Shoot. Gotta get the sound effect in there. All right, so this 3 will be ready for later. Set that aside, and let's put these 3 together. Just kind of lining up those ends, and then running my hand through there, just connecting all those. Okay, so I don't need to do another away knot because I have all these stitches to weave in the backs of. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll just, I don't know, let's go right to left again, I suppose. So I'll weave in here, and we'll put in all these little guys. So these are just like single stitches. They're just kind of like one back stitch, really. I don't think I even have it listed as a stitch. All you're doing is going from one to the other. It's actually kind of like a running stitch, but that zigzags a little bit. Instead of going all straight, like in and out here, you're going kind of a little crookedy. Oh, it's just texture on aloe. All right, we'll call it aloe textures. Texture. So this is just a slightly different green. And actually just the different green adds a little texture to it. You could do the same green. That would be totally fine if you're choosing your own colors. I just did a hair different green. Just to mix it up a little bit. And this green that I'm using, that will be in some of the other plants as well. So it kind of connects the colors of the plant together. But like the back is still looking, just as good as the front. We're going to mess it up now, though, by doing all these spikes. All right, so let's just start at one of these guys. We're just covering up these lines, really. So here you could do, one strand of floss if you wanted these to be really skinny. Actually, that would be kind of fun for these pokies. For these pokies, you could have them like those really thin, like needle fine pokies. Oh, it kind of depends what cactus you want to do. There's those ones with the really thick needles, and then there's other ones with just those horrible thin needles that look like fuzz or something, but they're still needles. They will still bite. Betty likes when I call things nubbins. Aloe nubbins. Oh yeah, these are definitely happy succulents, really. I guess this guy's not really a succulent. A lot happier looking than my actual succulents. They're pretty sad. I think they just need it to be summer. They need the windows to be open and sun to be shining. They're ready. But yeah, right now they're pretty sad. Maybe they just need happy face pots. That's probably what they need. Okay, so I'm to the top of this aloe frond. So I'm going to just kind of jump to here. But if you don't want that big of a jump, or you don't want to like see that floss cross this area, one thing you can do is like, I need to get over here. You can kind of roughly weave in the ends a little bit through stitches you already have, and then like come back up the other way if you want. So there, that's just kind of getting me to that spot without too big of a jump across here. That's getting pretty picky. Normally I probably wouldn't mind making a jump from here to there. Or I could have just planned it out better. I could have stitched it here and like stitched a few of these and then stitched these and then I'd end up down here. So it's all kind of like how you map your course. But you don't have to get so serious about that either. However you stitch it, it's gonna all work out. Oh, Mr. Alley. Yeah, that's a good name for him. Alley the Aloe. His hair will be done at least. Yeah, I think we're just going to kind of move right to left as we work on these guys. I guess that seems a good enough way as any, I suppose. And I mean, sometimes I hop around. Like if I'm using this colored green and I have some left, sometimes I'll hop to where more of that green exists. It looks like these plants, these leaves are that color green. But I don't know. I think we'll go right to left. Why not? Finishing dude at a time. Oh, Robin, your succulents aren't doing well either. They need spring. Yeah, I got this jade plant that, of course, they do amazing at my mom's house. I don't know. She's got a magic touch for them, and she had extras, so I got this huge jade plant that was it's probably 20 plus years old. This jade plant, and it's keeping on, but it doesn't like my house. It's too dark. All right. That's why it just needs to be summer. All right, here's the last guy here. I'm going to weave in the ends again. See, now you can see all those little specks look nice here, but here now we start seeing jumping around and stuff, but it still looks like a pretty dang clean back. No knots. And I mean, it's not like a clean back is the goal, but literally it's because of the knots. That's what gets me, like, that's why I try and keep my back as clean without any knots. Because if I had a knot here, like I started, let's say I'm stitching these leaves and I started with a knot, which is totally fine. But I could be stitching this and then this gets caught on this knot over here that I didn't even know was there, and I keep stitching and I keep stitching, and then I look at the back and I'm like, what the heck? There's this big loop here because I got stuck on a knot that was hanging out here. So again, by doing this weave in the ends method, you totally avoid that 100%. Because it's just, I mean, it's fine, it's just annoying when that happens. Oh, you don't have any houseplants because they're dying. You don't know, Don? Yes, my mom has I don't know if that was 2 or 3, so I'm going to go one more. My mom has tons of natural light at the house, so her plants always do good. Oh, get a grow light. Oh, that's an interesting idea. I kind of have like a blue light thing. I wonder if I turn that on, if it would like that. Okay, so I have quite a bit of thread here yet, floss, so I'm going to keep that for later. I'm going to just put that with my other 3 strands that I have left over. So let's take a look. Where are we at? Okay, you guys, I think that might be it for the evening here. So we're going to be working on this all week this week, so Monday through Friday. So you can stick around for the rest of this. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to go from left to right, except for this. Maybe I'll do that last. So tomorrow, we are going to stitch this cute little pot. It's all backstitch still, except for the eyes. The eyes are French knots. So we will go over how to do French knots tomorrow. I know that's always a tricky thing for some people. Maybe we'll even go through the 3 things you might be doing wrong with your French knots to not get perfect French knots. I always kind of like going through that. I bet you anything, if you are having trouble with your French knots, you're doing 1, 2, or all 3 of these 3 things. And if you do any one of the 3, your French knots might not look quite so nice. So we'll go over those 3 things tomorrow. Oh, Christine, you just learned French knots. Awesome. That's super great. So yeah, tomorrow we'll just quickly finish up this little pot. I believe he is, it's a red pot, a little bit of orange there. And his little smile is black, and then we will do the 2 little French knots, and I will go over how to do those French knots and the 3 things you might be doing wrong that might be holding you up with those. And if we have time, we'll just keep going. We'll keep moving right to left here. So awesome, you guys. I'm going to flip you around, and we will call it an evening here. All right, hello again, everyone. So if you're popping in and wondering what the deal is, we are back on the phone for a little while. But here we go. Look how cute he's turning out. So all his little frondy hair is done. I'm gonna seriously look up some cacti anatomy so we can be smarter tomorrow. I can be smarter tomorrow. But I still like pokies. We might still call them pokies. Pokies and fronds. All right, you guys, so we will continue that. I actually might take it out of the hoop because, like I was saying earlier, sometimes if you leave it in a hoop for too long, like if I would leave this in for a month or something, we might have a pretty good circular crease on here that might be hard to iron out. So I am going to take it out of the hoop right now, and then we will put it back in tomorrow, and we'll just get started right away. We can weave into the backs of those stitches and get going on the rest of this guy. So awesome. Thank you again, everyone. This will be on YouTube as a replay at Penguin and Fish Movies. So I'd love if you went over there if you wanted to recap anything here. And hit subscribe there and like on Facebook here. So thank you guys. Have a great evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.